Professor Joseph Magnet. Our first distinguished guest needs very little introduction among the Afar people. Professor Joseph Magnet is one of Canadian most delegated constitutional scholar and one of the world's leading experts in constitutional law. He is a professor of law at the University of Ottawa and has appeared as a counsel in more than 200 constitutional cases before the Supreme Court of Canada. He has served as lead counsel of the government of Canada in constitutional appeals, and he has advised the federal, provincial, and territorial governments on the constitutional reform. For the Afar Nation, however, Professor Magnet is much more than renowned legal scholar. He has traveled through the Afar homeland, met the Afar government leaders, traditional sultans, elders, refugees, community representatives, and he has devoted many years of helping Afar people articulate constitutional vision, ground democracy and federalism, Indigenous rights, and the role of law. Among the Afar, he is affectionately known as Mada Abba, the father of Constitution of the Afar Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming our dear friend and honorable Afar citizen Professor Joseph Magnet.
Thank you for these very warm comments, which I appreciate very much. And I want to first thank you for the kind introductory remarks, and to thank the organization for inviting me and asking me to share with you thoughts about the future of our work together. It's my honor and my pleasure to be again among my Afar friends. I congratulate the EANC leadership for creating this powerful forum for the exchange of ideas among Afar leaders and activists. I acknowledge with gratitude the support of His Highness Sultan Abdu Haisama Muhammad, Sultan of Bidu, his uncle Ahmed Aha, a longtime freedom fighter, Sheikh Ahmed Yusuf Abubakar, representative of His Highness Dadar Abdul Qadir Dawood, Sultan of Rahaita, who's joining us from Obak, the support of His Excellency Getachew Reda, Minister Advisor to Prime Minister Abiy for East African Affairs, Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. I also welcome the presence of Afar traditional leaders and refugees from across Afar regional state in Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Yemen. That such a diverse and respected assembly from across the Afar Nation is gathered here is a testament to EANC's achievement in creating, propagating, and hardening Afar unity. Last summer, I addressed Afar leaders in Samara. I reported on Afar achievements reached during the 15 years we worked together. I made several recommendations that the conference approved, including that the Afar leadership intensify efforts to educate people in the Horn and diaspora about the Afar vision for a reformed Eritrea, that Afar work cooperatively with the government of Ethiopia and government of Djibouti to promote the responsibility of states to protect oppressed Afar who are victims of Eritrea's crimes against humanity, and that Afar prepared now for a constitutional process if Eritrea's dictatorship fractures or if war erupts and Ethiopia defeats Eritrea. I'm going to add detail here about these recommendations. Let's start with the Afar consensus about the constitutional future of Eritrea. Afar set out their vision for a reformed Eritrea in the Samara Declaration. That was a 2010 document signed by thousands and thousands of Afar, including the Afar political and customary leadership. The Samara Declaration has been consistently reaffirmed by Afar organizations and conferences around the world for the past 16 years. The essence of the Afar model is set out on this slide. History teaches that these means of promoting internal self-government promote stability, prosperity, and freedom in multi-ethnic states, and experience also shows that these are the only ideas that are capable of bringing stability to deeply diverse societies. The Afar model has virtually unanimous support among the Afar people. The creators of the infamous 1997 Constitution of Eritrea, a Stalinist lookalike that placed all power in a few hands at the center, when confronted with the Afar model, admitted their errors and gave you their support. United Nations agencies supported you. Afar conferences for the past 16 years overwhelmingly supported you. Afar unity on the Afar model is solid, deep, and long-standing. This has given the honored people gathered here today increasing voice and power. It's essential to continue to broaden the Afar base. This is the responsibility of all of us, particularly Afar leaders. We must reach far out into the communities to educate the communities about our struggle and our model, to seek to add to the consensus and to harden our unity. We should be using Afar family and kinship networks to reach deep inside Eritrea. We cannot rely for legitimacy on signatures on a piece of paper. We must work to educate our people, persuade their minds, and engage their hearts to beat as one. It's equally essential to expand the Afar consensus beyond the Afar base. We must reach out to other Eritrean nationalities, both leadership and grassroots, to communicate our vision and explain why it is good for them and will benefit them. We must strive to reach military units inside Eritrea. I know that this is possible. I have personally spoken with soldiers who served in the Eritrean military units close to the Ethiopian border, who reported on the openness of Eritrean Afar military personnel to our Afar vision and message. Those soldiers will be critically important when the dictatorship weakens, Eritrea becomes unstable, and its internal factions collide. Look, this is hard political work, I know, but it's necessary to continue doing it. The Afar Nation is split among three sovereignties. Afar communities in the three sovereignties share a common language, religion, economy, food, customary law, traditions, and culture. Afar communities in the three sovereignties lack formal tools to promote collaborative work together on common problems. They lack institutions to advocate together for common needs or to exercise jurisdiction together where this is secured. Creating overarching institutions is also a problem confronted by other nations that, like the Afar, are divided by international borders. Examples include the Kurds, the Sami, and certain North American indigenous nations split by the United States-Canada border. The Kurds and the Sami have created various institutions to promote common interest among the divided nation. None of these institutions are really well suited to the Afar. The Afar are distinct because they are numerous, approximately 4 million people, territorially concentrated, and compacted further because they share a common language, religion, customary law, and culture. So the question is, how can the Afar best collaborate, advocate, and exercise power together when their nation is divided by three sovereignties? We have been asked to work together with the sultans now to try to craft appropriate umbrella institutions for these purposes. We're working on it, and we will continue to report to you as this work progresses. Last summer, I explained in Samara why transition to democracy in Eritrea is unlikely to be peaceful. The core points of my explanation focus on the usual route for peaceful democratic transition described in the literature, some of which is displayed on this slide. Peaceful democratic transitions occur when events cause cracks in authoritarian regime, like economic collapse, defeat in war, internal insurrections, inability to provide services, prolonged general strikes, or some such things. When these events occur, softliners appear in the regime and engage with opposition moderates to forge a process for transition. The scenario plays out, elections follow. The necessary ingredients for a democratic transition of this kind do not exist in Eritrea. Eritrea is a totalitarian state. There are no softliners in the regime. Any who appear will be eliminated. There is no organized opposition inside, let alone moderates in the opposition in Eritrea. They were eliminated during the 34 years of Isaias's totalitarian rule and the 17 years of Mengistu's military dictatorship preceding Isaias. The result is that the pathway for peaceful democratic reform is closed in Eritrea. When Isaias dies or is violently overthrown, the likely scenario is competition between factions in the armed forces to replace him. The most probable outcome of that competition is reimposition of totalitarian controls by apparatchiks connected to the old regime. This is likely to be messy and violent. What we do know is that history teaches at some point the army will want to relinquish or share control with civilians. We are seeing just how messy and violent this can be in the events in Sudan today. It's necessary for the Afar to prepare for this. The means to do so is to propagate the Afar vision among Eritrea's Afar and other communities, including the military. Many think war is coming to Eritrea. I'll show you this.
I want to bring in Shito Trumbull. You study conflict. You know both these countries very well. Do you think war is inevitable? Do you think it's avoidable? Do you buy the, should we call it complacency or positivity from Getachew here?
No, I think the war is coming, and it's coming pretty soon. Ethiopia is now postering and ticking off every box of claiming a right to self-defense, accusing Eritrea of destabilizing Ethiopia, accusing Eritrea of funding and arming militias, the Fano Amhara militias, accusing Eritrea to collude with the Tigrayan government or the TPLF in Tigray. The Minister of Foreign Affairs in Ethiopia submitted a letter to the Secretary General of UN, ticking off all of these issues, saying that we will be patient, we want peace, but we are not patient for too long.
I do not counsel war. Older people like myself have no business telling young men and women to put themselves in the line of fire and to sacrifice themselves. Still, we have to be realists. Many agree with Professor Tronvoll that war is inevitable and will happen soon. Afar must prepare for this. If Eritrea is defeated in war, I recommend that Ethiopia follow the American precedents and the Japanese and German defeats in World War II. Go the distance. Occupy Asmara. Impose a new Ethiopian-style federal constitution and a security treaty that gives Ethiopia the right to station troops in Eritrea. The constitution will have to account for the special features of Eritrean society, which is composed of 10 nationalities with distinct languages, customary laws, cultures, and traditions. Afar have a model for that. Afar should advocate its model forcefully with the government of Ethiopia now and as events unfold. I believe that with the Afar model, Ethiopia will gain a lasting permanent ally, bring peace to a large part of the Horn, and unlock Eritrean energy to build a prosperous, free, peaceful society. Importantly, this will deliver the necessary autonomy and self-government to the Afar people, which is the best path forward for Afar development. To sum up, you should have confidence in yourselves. You should have confidence in the Afar successes to date, which are impressive. I'm counseling that we continue to work to deepen the Afar vision of a reformed Eritrea in communities in the Horn and in the diaspora. That we prepare now to advance the Afar model in a messy, possibly violent transition when Isaias dies or is violently overthrown. That we prepare now with the government of Ethiopia for a constitutional process if Eritrea is defeated in war. Afar progress to date is real because your cause is just, your constitutional model is correct, your vision is inspiring, and together we will not stop. Thanks so much for inviting me. I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you very much, Professor Magnet.